The Raptors pull off their second road win of the season. They've now won 5 games in the month of January. Scottie Barnes was awesome. The whole team was great against Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. Let's go to the film room. Scottie Barnes had a great fourth quarter that added on to a great game overall, and I think it started because of the mismatch hunting in the post. What Scottie has been so good at so far in his career has been hunting out those mismatches, hunting out smaller players in transition, and then in the post taking advantage of those situations. Against the Hawks tonight, that was evident. He used it to draw a bunch of fouls, took 7 free throws in the fourth quarter that helped him get to those 11 points. But I thought he was also really great at making decisions offensively. He started out the clutch with this pull-up 3, and he knocked it down. And while you might think that's a pretty crazy shot, the Hawks were sort of running away with things at this point. Momentum was leading and pointing towards Trae in Atlanta. And so this quieted the crowd a little bit and quieted the momentum of the Hawks. And this is a risk. No question, it's a risky shot to take, but when you make it, you got to commend him. But overall, though, he wasn't forcing it like that. And I think some of the decision making in the fourth was really evident about the growth he's had offensively as a scorer. Watch him go through the motions in this possession, trying to find a shot against DeAndre Hunter, multiple pick and rolls with Jakob Poeltl, and instead uses it, trying to get into that mid-range shot that has become a pattern of his recently, and then draws the foul. And so you could see him working through the motions of, all right, what part of my game do I want to utilize here in the fourth quarter? Obviously, that mid-range craft has been so important to his game over the last couple of months. He's developed into being somewhat of a patent shot. Now, in clutch situations, he's trying to get to those looks, and we saw that in that possession. Rejects the Jakob screen and then gets into that mid-range area for a floater. And he's so upright and so tall that even over DeAndre Hunter, he's able to kind of just shoot over top of him, giving himself that size advantage, which is what makes Scottie so great. And again, on the defensive end, a massive clutch block here with the Raptors up 1. Great job protecting the rim here for the block. And it was a massive fourth quarter for Scottie Barnes that illuminated all of the things that he's been working on. I think over the last, month or so, his defense has been great. I think the offense is coming along. I think we saw his process and decision-making as a scorer in that fourth quarter, hunting out mismatches, from getting to the free throw line, realizing he can bully people. And to me, that's like my favorite version of Scottie Barnes. It's the bully ball. It's let me get down in the paint and get dirty and like kind of just figure out my way through this game, impose my will physically so that I'm able to get to other spots, open up my mid-range game, open up other spots. And also, if you think about it, in that paint/mid-range area, I've mentioned this a million times, but if he is a physically imposing player, they're going to force double teams, especially if he gets smaller players onto him and he hunts out mismatches like that. It's an instant double team. And so now his playmaking opens up and he can make plays out of that high post to mid post area or even the low post area. And it just makes Scottie's game fun to watch. That is the most fun version of Scottie Barnes you will get. And on top of that, he's playing great defense. Apologies because I couldn't get a recap out for the Magic game, but Scottie was incredible defensively in that game, had a really well put together performance throughout. Great decision maker, doing stuff actively to really make things hard on the Magic on the defensive end, especially against Paolo Banchero. So you're seeing the two-way star version of Scottie right now. I think he's performing at like an all-star level. He's back to performing like an all-star level, and it's been that way for about a month now. Obviously he's dealt with injuries to start this year, and so it was slow to get him back to form. But folks, this is the player the Raptors are building around. I mean, Sportsnet's Michael Grange reported today that only Scottie and Gradey are the untouchables on this Raptors team. And I think that makes sense for what it's worth. Gradey was excellent again tonight. He looks like he has his legs under him recently. He's more athletic. He's finishing in and around the basket a little bit better recently. He had some crazy finishes tonight. Is dunking the ball more often too, which is a telltale sign of like he's more physically healthy. I think he just feels better. He went out with that calf strain in December. When he came back, didn't look 100%, didn't look like he had that bounciness to him. and now just feels like he is getting his legs under him more. And we're back to seeing the Gradey Dick that we saw in November when he was fully healthy in the start of the season. It's worth noting that Gradey has played more minutes this season than he did in his rookie year already. So it is a process of figuring out physically how to play the game the way that Gradey wants to play. And it's taxing because Gradey is a guy who thrives off of movement, both off ball and on ball. On defense, he had a couple of great steals tonight too. I think defensively, that's where he shines his best off the ball. And so, like, that is a taxing way to play basketball. It's exhausting. If you've ever played like even LA Fitness runs, the hardest guys to guard are the shooters because they're always running around, and your cardio needs to be pristine for that. And so clearly Gradey learning to break through that wall this season, I think that's a really important part of, his future in this league and long-term being able to play the way he wants to play through 82 games plus playoffs. Like, that's a process. Some players have to learn that, and Gradey clearly has to. So yeah, Gradey, Scottie, untouchables, completely understand. We can talk about the Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett part of those in a minute, but I do want to talk about two guys who are clearly on the trading block for the Raptors. It's been reported by multiple people that the Raptors are looking to trade Kelly Olynyk and Bruce Brown, but they have looked excellent as of late, and they're forming some sort of a dynamic duo off of the bench. So let's go to the film room there too. The ball handling that Bruce Brown provides off of the bench is a really nice punch for them, settling into these floaters, which he's great at. But I also love the connection between him and Kelly Olynyk. You see pick and roll situations, Kelly can pop out. It creates an opportunity for him for the three. High post playmaking, Kelly, and Bruce is such a great cutter. He can just cut back door like this for the finish. Pick and roll between Scottie and Kelly, and this time it leads to a Bruce Brown corner three. Bruce continues to stretch the floor well for the Raptors so far this season, just looks healthier out there. Speaking of health, Kelly looks healthier too. Here's stopping the alley-oop attempt, and I think that's a big part of both of these guys so far over the last couple of weeks. They just look healthier. This time Kelly gets the mismatch in the post. Again, opportunistic cutting from Bruce, who just flashes middle for the floater. That ball handling of Bruce, really important here. Alley-oop to Scottie. Bruce flares out on this screen, and then, they go to high post playmaking. Beautiful dish to Scottie there for the pass. And I think Kelly's intuition as a passer is what really shines. He's a really smart player, really, just knows where to put the ball. And that's what makes him so elite for the Raptors, especially in this offensive system where he can just make plays for everybody. And he can cook himself. He can take it one-on-one every now and then as well. This is more of that intuition, attacking the closeout, sees the defense collapsing. Nice little alley-oop to Chris Boucher. And then this time off the pick and roll, gets the switch, and then just fade away, turnaround jumper. More of that Bruce and Kelly connection, pick and roll. And Bruce just settles into a lefty floater and one. And so their connection has been really awesome. I mean, they combined for him, those two and Chris Boucher combined for 40 points tonight for the Raptors off of the bench. And it's been massive to watch. And, I know I can hear people right now saying, man, they better trade those guys because they're playing well. They're at a high point in their value. And you know what? The likely scenario is that they will trade those guys. I think not only for the fact that they are playing well and they look healthy and they look like they can contribute to teams that actually are trying to win, but also because the Raptors are probably a little too good right now for their aspirations. And I like competitive basketball. I'm a big fan of watching the Raptors gut out wins against the Hawks. This was an awesome game to cover. It was great to watch Scottie. I think it's really important to get Scottie and Gradey and all these guys reps in these type of moments where you got to figure it out in the clutch. Super important. That being said, given where the Raptors are at right now, I think they will trade those guys by the deadline. We'll see how many of them. There's 4 guys right now in consideration, and Bruce, Kelly, Davion, and Boucher. I'm not sure how many of those guys eventually get traded, but it gives opportunity to some of their younger players. In a Jacoby Walter, who played a little bit tonight. He's been playing well in the G League. Watching the 905, he's been playing well. In a Jonathan Mobo, who is getting extensive reps with the G League right now. in potentially an Ulrich Shamshe or a Jameson Battle, who are guys who are showing flashes with the 905 right now as well. So I think the Raptors have opportunities behind those guys, behind Chris and behind Kelly and behind Bruce. So I think they will eventually prioritize playing those younger guys more. So it's not an active tank. It's not a way to say we are going to just lose these games. But I think naturally by playing younger players more often, they will be in a situation where, they're going to trade these guys, play younger guys, and it'll open up minutes for everybody else. It's a pretty simple equation here because I think that's what the Raptors are going to end up doing. That being said, really fun basketball. And if these guys don't end up getting traded and you still have these guys, Bruce and Kelly on the team, they're doing well. This is awesome to watch. The connection off of the bench for those guys. They are playing Darko Rajakovic's offensive system to a T. Let me see how many assists they ended up having on their shots. So 32 assists to 47 made field goals. Pretty good. 32 assists is great. Probably near the top of the league. I think like the Grizzlies lead the league every night, nearly like 35, I think. But that's really good. Like 32 assists is great. And it goes to show you how much they're getting off of their cuts, how much they're getting off of their off-ball movement, how much they're getting off of the high-post playmaking of Kelly, of Scottie, of Yak. And it was a great game overall. Jakob also had some really good moments, guarding Trae Young in space in that fourth quarter. Really, really important there. And Davion Mitchell. I think Davion Mitchell in a lot of ways ties together that starting unit in a really unique way because he doesn't require a lot of usage. Not the best playmaker, admittedly. Like he has some bad turnovers, had a couple bad turnovers tonight too. But the way he ties together that unit defensively at the point of attack, especially in establishing how they want to defend, is super, super important. He was a plus 17 tonight, a team high, once again. And I think it just goes to show you how important it is for them to have a really stout defender at the point of attack to be able to play to the strengths of Scottie and Jakob defensively. That's the gist of it with Davion Mitchell and how he's been a glue guy for this team overall. And so I'm a big fan of Davion. I would hate to see him go, truthfully, at the deadline. I think it would be cool to see him kind of play it out this season for the Raptors and see how much better he can get. That being said, I understand the fact that you want to play Jamal Shed more probably and give him opportunities to figure out how he wants to play and how he can be impactful and whatnot. And, Emmanuel Quickley is coming back. So how does he play into that equation? And Ochai Agbaji, by the way, is also a part of this rotation. He's been missing a few games here with that finger injury. And so like the Raptors actually now, if you think about it, probably have too many guys to fill into their rotation in terms of developing them, right? There's obviously Scottie, there's obviously Gradey, there's Yak, there's RJ, there's IQ. These guys are built in to the rotation. They want to play them every single night. But then there's like the Bruce Brown, Jacoby Walter, Ochai Agbaji, Kelly Olynyk, Chris Boucher, Davion Mitchell, that crowd of bench rotation players that is a mix of veterans and guys that should be getting reps developmentally. And so that's why I think the Raptors have hit kind of an inflection point here of making these trades eventually and how that impacts the rest of the team win total wise and rotation wise and all that stuff will be interesting to see over the next couple of weeks and, throughout the rest of the season. They have some pretty easy games moving forward. They have some pretty easy games. And I don't want to scare the tankers right now. I don't want to scare the tankers, but they play the Hawks again on Saturday. Then the Pelicans, who have the same amount of wins and losses as them right now. They play the Wizards. First time they're playing the Wizards, which is, folks, it's a guaranteed dub. You know what? I'm not going to guarantee dubs. The Raptors aren't good enough team to guarantee dubs, but it is about as guaranteed of a dub as you can get in the NBA. The Bulls, that would be an interesting game. They're playing the Warriors right now. They're playing them tight. Fun team, actually, the Bulls. And then they get into a tough stretch. So they have like 4 games here, which they can probably pick up some wins here. And for the tankers, you might be worried. You might be like, what is going to happen, et cetera, et cetera. Oh my God. I think you just got to kind of let the cards play where they will. And ultimately, given where the Raptors are and what they'll do at the trade deadline, I think they'll figure out a way to prioritize both things, get value back for their players, and be able to developmentally play some of their younger guys. Folks, thank you very much for tapping into Raptors Republic. Appreciate you guys as always. Subscribe to the Raptors Republic YouTube channel. We do great work on there as always. Tap into the Pull Up Trade podcast and all our other podcasts that we have here on the channel. Thank you very much. Peace out.